showed was from a survey given by X number of students, like 200 plus students, and it was asked from the students directly, and it's they who have given this data directly. So there is no very, very proper documentation on this, but it's from the survey. There's a mic just behind you.
Hi. I was just wondering about the data you show about the Doctoral School for Health. The school was established in 2014. How can anyone have a net time over 4 years?
How can anyone have a net time over?
How can anyone have a net time of over 4 years?
So I guess the data is coming from the people who were not a part of the doctoral school, but now are a part of the doctoral school. So yeah, I mean, a lot of changes have happened. First, there was VGSB, now it's ILS. So if you are trying to give ILS data, you will get the VGSB data in most probably. So it is transferred to some extent. I don't know the exact path in which this was given. Okay, yes. Yeah.
So my question is basically on the...
A bit louder.
Hello?
Yeah.
So basically the time that we usually take as doctoral students, so of course your point was absolutely correct that in some countries there are rules that you have to graduate in 4 years, but it depends on the funding and if the project is funded from the start or not. But it also, like, the goals of doctoral students are not clearly defined. So, for example, people still consider outside academia as alternate career. It's not alternate career, it's a career. So not all of them have to stay in academia because the competition is too much and the prospects are not too bright. Still considering the question that why doctoral students take long time to graduate is basically, of course, related to project funding, but also the skill level. So if we go outside health sciences, computer scientists or art graduates or literature graduates, they have a uniform graduation process. So they take some years, 3, 4, 3, 4, 3, 4. They achieve something in the skill level and then they start working as whatever they do. Why should it not be implemented in the similar way for postdocs? There should be a similar requirement for working as a postdoc because some PhD skills are higher than somebody else's and it's not a uniform entry requirement for postdoc here also.
So just to add to one of the statements that you made, this is quite a number that has been consistently used. 75% of you should be thinking about going to non-academic spheres because there's not much. There's only 25% of the positions in the academics, or say 30% of you can go into the academics because of the current resources that exist. Thinking about that and thinking about the now we switch from the long graduation times. Before that, Howie is the director of Institute of Biotechnology. Sorry, I forgot to mention you at the beginning. You're sitting in the first. If you have any comments on the long graduation times, Howie?
I do.
Yes. Sorry.
I just would like to throw a word of caution into the statistics that you presented at the beginning, because as in a real experiment, the number that you get out depends on how you calibrate the zero. So the example was mentioned at the beginning of the UK, where students graduate in 3.5, maybe 4 years maximum. But they commence their PhD studies immediately after having done an honours degree, which takes, in England at least, 3 years. Whereas the norm in Finland is that the PhD studies are only started when the student already has a master's degree. So that actually adds 2 years. So comparing the UK's 3 years with the average here, which might be 4.5, in fact, it's 6.5. So you should consider that. Another point, of course, at the other end of the scale, is that Sarah already mentioned the long time that it takes to go through the machinery of graduation. And I'm aware of at least one country in Europe where, I wouldn't say it's deliberate, but the bureaucracy involved is so great that the norm is that the student actually graduates well over a year and sometimes almost 2 years following the completion of their thesis work. And that actually gives students from that country, postdocs that are coming out of that country, an advantage in competitions like the ERC, where the time since PhD graduation is a criterion. And they're already 2 years into their postdoc, can be 2 years into their postdoc, before they officially graduate, which gives them an extra 2 years above their peers. So I think you should be really careful in comparing figures from different countries, or even from different subjects within a country. And what you need to look at, as in all assessments in academia, is the actual content.
Very true. Just to also let you know, people in the University of Helsinki are researching on this specific topic. I don't know if they could make it here today, but most of them have gone to some conference members. So we also try to get some data from them and some views from them as well. So moving on, is there any other further comments? Yes, please. Yeah, I'll keep it again.
Hi. I'd like to follow up this topic in not in the numbers of years, but how do we now evaluate the skills that are needed for defending? And that's, I think, the issue, because the time has changed and the way the articles, like Iiris said, also has changed. There's lots of authors there, and how do you share that, and what's your share and what's your skill? Like, I think we need to rethink how do we evaluate those skills. Like you said, we have to send out students really prepared for this life, right? In the PhD, the competition skills and so on, you have to have the skills. That is so true, but how do we evaluate, because the times has changed?
So the current evaluation is very decentralized, if I'm not wrong. Every faculty decides what is needed for the PhD student under the faculty to graduate. Two people working in the same lab might not know that their requirements are different, because they might be belonging to two different faculties. This evaluation is a very important question. And of course, now the evaluation criteria is very, very publication-based, with the skills that are needed, some compulsory courses which the faculties ask you to take. But again, coming back to the publication question, which will also refine the criteria of who should be given a PhD degree in the end. Through all the comments that we got, definitely publication was mentioned by nearly every one of you. The strict publication rules that we have in the university for you to get a PhD degree in your hand. Taking that into account, we must also consider the fact that the university has changed its rules. It has advanced, the improvement has taken place. The publication criteria have reduced as compared to the past. The credits needed has reduced from 40 to 60. Some people believe that's a good thing. So, yeah, the other one, from 60 to 40. Some people believe that it's going to help them a lot because they have to work less. They can concentrate on research. Some people believe that, well, now my boss doesn't allow me to do any more courses because I already have my 40 credits. Considering this, many people also complain that there are unclear rules. When they look at the rules, it's not very clear for them what exactly is needed. The publications might not be very, very clearly defined. Do you need 2 to 3 publications? Does it need 2 publications or 3 publications? When you say, I have one example here from the Faculty of Biological and Environmental Sciences, so this is the requirement from the website from February of 2017, if that's the updated one. The doctoral dissertation in the Faculty of Biological and Environmental Sciences is a large, self-contained, scientifically coherent whole, which typically consists of more than one scientific publication with original research results in the summary section. The faculty accepts article-based dissertations and monographs as doctoral dissertations. So is it one, more than one? Is it 1.5? Is it 2?
So the decision to write up the thesis is a decision that is made on recommendation of the thesis committee. So the thesis committee has been following the student throughout all of their career as a PhD student. The student is reporting on an annual basis, and preferentially at the third or fourth meeting, the thesis committee will make a recommendation that yes, now the student is ready to write up. So actually, this judgment of whether it's one paper, whether it's a monograph, or whether it's more papers, is actually based on the thesis committee's judgment, and then that currently is reviewed by the professor in charge of the subject, who then also says, yes, I go along with the thesis committee review. And in order to make this clear across the whole faculty, there is one person in administration who is also checking these papers and making sure that, yes, these are okay. So if one has a question, then you can go to your thesis committee members, or you can go to the one person in the faculty who is responsible for looking at every single thesis that's coming through, or you can go to your subject professor. All right? Okay. And the reason it's written that normally it's this way is because of the fact that there will always be exceptions, and we would hate to limit somebody's career by saying you absolutely have to do it this way. All right, so this is a recommendation which we try to adhere to. Okay?
The recommendation, I would say, I mean, at least from the vibes that we have got, that again coming back to the publication, enforcing a publication on a PhD student for him or her to graduate, how big a problem is that, or how crucial is that? For example, you might do your research for 4 years, you might get results that can be published, you might not get results that can be published, depends on the journal where you want to publish, depends on how you're negotiating with your boss. Student-supervisor relationship is a very sacred relationship in this country. So let's discuss a bit on the good and bad of having such a strict rule of having a publication in your thesis.
I think this is a misunderstanding.
Okay.
So the rector's decision is that it is typically something.
Exactly, 3 to 5.
And it means that the faculties can decide that they don't list any numbers. That's the fact.
Yeah.
It is that faculties will.
Just that.
More comments.
So first the question of how many of the doctors. So how many of the doctoral students who are here are not from the University of Helsinki? Just to make the point that this is a discussion of all universities in Finland, which can have very different rules. So because the discussion is here concentrating on one university. And otherwise, so the discussion is a bit weird because I've been around for a while and actually did a lot of work to remove strict rules to encourage looking for quality publications. And now it feels that the students want rules again. So here's another hands up. So which of the doctoral students want strict rules on publication? Okay, so I think we can, because there are no rules currently, I think we can move on.
Yes, please. Yes, please.
Yeah, this was very nice vote, but in our case, in our faculty, we have tried to sort of lower the number of publications, and PhD students don't want. They insist having many publications. We are now in around number of 3 publications, and that is pain sometimes to convince a PhD student that 3 is enough. No question about 2.
I think it's when you concentrate on numbers, what do the numbers actually mean? What is the PhD? And what is the PhD about, and what is the PhD thesis about? And what, again, coming back to what do you actually learn, and what do you intend to learn, and why are you doing that? I think that's where we should start from, to think of what do I personally am going to use this degree for? What do I want to get out of it? What am I expected to get out of it? And then start thinking about, well, also regarding your research, what does this piece of research, what does it require? And first of all, from the beginning, with the help of your supervisor, sort of to frame it so that it can be done within the target time, taking into account the time that different things take, but also taking into account the research results that you want to get in this research, but also when you do your postdoc or if you do your postdoc. So sort of thinking about it as a more kind of a targets or goals that you want to, or objectives that you want to reach, and doing it from the beginning. And this is something that the changes that we're trying to implement right now with the big wheel at the University of Helsinki. There's a big wheel educational reform going on called the Big Wheel that has been caused for a lot of controversy, but the thing behind the changes that we're trying to implement in the doctoral education